Welcome, everyone. Here's someone that's with me right now that I respect a lot. Um, I'll introduce her in a moment. But for anyone that's new to listening to this series, this show is all about understanding what's going on.
That I missed.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself as well. Like what if you imagine it like this, right? Because I know this question is hard for me when people ask me that. I'm like, what do I say to myself? So imagine this, like you're at a tea party or a dinner party, and then you just imagine you were at one of my dinner parties, and I was like, hey, this is Katia. Tell us a little bit about what you do. How would you describe it to a bunch of people that were there?
Well, I run a tattoo business. Right now, what I've done is I've built this dome in the backyard of my house, which is where I'm sitting right now. You can kind of see the geometric poles here, and um, and I love it. It's just a nice way for clients to come and have a personal experience in a beautiful setting. I run an intentional tattoo business. So the tattoos that I do have generally have some kind of meaning, even if it's just about the time in the person's life that they're getting the tattoo. Before we start, I always have a card reading and meditation, just a small one. We talk and get to know the client a little bit. We discuss about what they're going to go through during the process and how they can internally get the most out of the experience in order to heal. I feel like tattoos can be very healing for people. Your body's going through this very intense experience. And so a lot of it has to do with the mind.
Mm,
And what you're going through in your mind really can determine how um, you can sit through and how the experience is. And so this is sort of what my intention is with the business, is to help people heal through the art of tattooing and give them a piece that they're really proud of, that they can look at and think of that time of their life where they overcame a challenge, or where they're switching jobs, or I've been told that the tattoos that I've done on people have been so transformational, help people come out of depressions. And not
mm,
necessarily this is going to be like this for everybody. Everyone's on their
yeah.
own journey. People don't know that there's a lot of change happening with the tattoo world these days. It's not necessarily about picking something off the wall and just going
Mm,
in and there's guys, and it can
yeah.
be spiritual, and it can have more more resonance, more um thought put into sort of the connection between the artist and the client. So I
Mm,
ran that business for almost 10 years, and it went really well, and there was so many people that came through, and I just love it. I love the art of putting ink into people's skin that can help.
yeah.
It's scary, mind you, yet I mean, what isn't? Even doing this podcast is scary, and life is about, you know, taking those doubts and then just using your intuition and trusting and just going for it. And
Mm,
in that, really change and make things happen and have that courage, overcoming the fear and having the courage just to do things and create things and not worrying about what people said. I'm actually one of the first tattoo artists in Vancouver who opened up a shop like I did, that was
mm,
based more on healing, spirituality, and I was ridiculed by a lot of the shops because they're not used to having a shop around, like this whole new way of thinking
mm,
about tattooing. um Calm and peaceful was my sort of tagline. Come to the
yeah.
tattoo shop, we are calm and peaceful. So we didn't
Mm,
play music. It was very, like, as people would walk in and they would say, oh, it feels like a spa in here. Is this a tattoo
yeah.
shop?
Yeah.
So it was, goodness, about 11 years ago when I opened that shop, and I had to overcome a lot of people's judgments. Other tattoo
Mm,
shops would talk about me, but yet I just kept going, and perseverance, overcoming everything, just go, go,
mm,
go, keeping your vision alive.
yeah.
And that's, I mean, at a dinner party, I probably wouldn't talk this much about it because,
Yeah.
I don't want to steal the spotlight too much. That's just the way I am. I communicate better
Yeah.
in pictures than I do with the words, and I'm more of a listener than a talker, so that hence my
Mm,
nervous
mm.
a little bit. So
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, thanks for sharing. You've achieved a lot. And it's what I love. There's so much I want to pick apart, right? There's so many things I want to say, but I'm gonna start and listen to my intuition. And the first thing that comes up is you created something different, right? And a lot of people in the world, me included, want to do things that are different, right? We have this thing inside of us that's unique. It's an idea, it's something arising. So what
Hmm.
did it take for you to say, I'm gonna do this different, even though you knew the world is like laughing at you or that it doesn't fit into the regular tattoo world or the regular way to do things? What allowed you to move through that?
Hmm. It's a really good question. I feel like
Mm.
this is the stopping point for a lot of leaders. They
Yeah.
get the ridicule and they get they're not fitting in
Yeah.
quite to the what everybody says, oh, tattoo artist. I mean, I could have easily kept working. I did work at a street shop
Mm.
for a little while, and I was honestly um made fun of. I was by the
Mm.
big, burly shop owner. But at the same time, I don't fit in. I haven't really fit in much in my life, honestly. So
Yeah.
I'm used to not fitting in. And I think over my life that feeling of not fitting in is kind of normal. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah.
and in that way I can say, well, I don't care that I don't fit in. I'm just going to do me and live my best life and do what I can to be my best self.
Mm.
And I guess so just overcoming, I mean, it takes work, right? It takes work,
Yeah.
especially when you get a negative comment, as
Mm.
you told me, or we've talked about this before, the two of us,
Yeah.
when you're faced with negativity and people lashing at you for just
Mm.
doing what your intuition says is this is me and this is right. um it can be challenging because
Mm.
you don't want to be judged. You want everybody to like you.
Yeah.
However, not everybody's going to like you. You just have to know that. So
Yeah.
training your mind not to care so much about what other people think of you. And the more
Mm.
negativity you get, honestly, the more traction you're going to get, the more
Mm.
people in energy still, even though it's negative. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's training your mind to not care, really. Focus on those people around you that love you.
Hmm. That's such a lesson that can be applied across every area. Because what I'm hearing you say is like there's something inside you that is moving you towards this thing, right? It's you. It's the expression of you coming out. And along that journey, yeah, there's outside might not like it, or your thoughts might be worried or uncomfortable or whatever, but something moves you forward, right? Something says, I'm gonna do it this way, no matter what. And you're an artist, so this excites me even more, right? Because the other thing that came up when you were speaking was, I remember you told me once, you said people will trust you so much that they won't even ask you for something. They won't say, hey, put this on my book. I've got a picture of it. They'll say, you go into flow and you just do whatever you want with me. So
Yeah.
I'm curious about what is that energy that comes through you that do you go into a trance or do you go into some kind of flow state? What's happening in that moment when you've got a canvas in front of you, a human body, and then you summon some creativity that just does it? Tell us about that process because I found that fascinating when you told me that.
Well, thank you. I coined the term trust tattoo. And
Mm.
that is a tattoo that I used to give out quite often. I still do once in a while. I just had one about a week ago. And it's all about the client telling me a little bit about who they are. Maybe it's on the phone, a phone interview, or maybe I know them personally. Maybe I've tattooed them before, and what they're going through in their life, what kind of symbols they're drawn to, and I will draw something for them. I feel I mean, I don't know how it happens, but sometimes I feel that when I draw, I lose track of time.
Mm,
And it's almost like it is a trance in a way. And
mm,
I put myself into this state where I start drawing, and then all of a sudden it's like 2 hours later, like, what happened to the time?
mm.
And my body's all stiff and I can't move and I have to like stretch.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And and then the client will show up and they will wear a blindfold
Mm,
and won't actually see the tattoo until it's finished being tattooed. They won't know what I'm
wow.
doing.
Wow.
And it takes a lot of confidence. I can tell you, and it's definitely a challenge. And it is true, I mean, every tattoo I do has meaning and significance, and sometimes it's not necessarily about the actual piece of art, but about the
Mm,
meaning and the love that gets put into it. And all it is me tapping into the energy of positivity, of
yeah.
love, just like putting all of this in to what I'm drawing and what I'm tattooing. And if I know that I'm tattooing with this positivity, then and I could feel it. It's interesting. It's almost like a high.
Yeah.
Then that I know the tattoo will turn out really well. I know it
Mm,
because it doesn't matter because I know that every little dot, every little line is done with this healing intention.
mm. Wow. That's so deep because it doesn't matter if whoever's listening is tattoo artist or anything, right? Because what I'm hearing from this, because I'm not a tattoo artist, me seeing it through my eyes, I'm like, this is an ultimate form of the expression of energy, right? And you're doing it in a way where you're permanently putting something onto someone. So I can't imagine, right, the amount of thoughts that could come up. Maybe they don't come up for you now, right? But just in my head, like I'm completely and fully trusting this flow that's moving through me. So much so that I'm putting permanent ink on someone. And like a form of that for me is, let's say I'm guiding someone through a meditation, right? I don't have any scripts. I don't do any of that. It just comes through and I can feel it. What you're saying to me, anyway, it's like an extreme version of that. It's like I'm putting ink on you. Or it's like a performer that they have one race. They have one race that they have one chance and they're giving it everything in there. Every part of them is aligned. Every part is working together. All of it is there. That's what I'm hearing when I hear you speak. And it's mind blowing because it's like if people can get into that state, no matter what they do, like you said, this positivity, this flow, this things moving through them. Only the highest outcome seems possible, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting.
Even if you don't do exactly what you meant to do, the tattoo didn't maybe turn out exactly how you had imagined it to, it's still
Mm,
beautiful, still because of the energy and because of what you put into it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there ever any moment when you're in this process where something could take you out of that flow, like fear of, oh my God, am I doing this right? What would they think? Does that ever pop up? And how do you get out of it if it does?
It does, it does. What I need to do then is I need to take a break.
Hmm,
I need to just tell the client, look, I need a minute. And I do take a break every hour and just like take a few breaths, maybe close my eyes, get back into it.
yeah.
There's this kind of motto that I tell myself. Um, it's when you're faced with doubt, then you have to trust, right?
Hmm,
Um, and you have to harness courage when faced with fear. You
hmm,
have to you when and harness perseverance when faced with setback, and have
yeah.
wisdom when you're faced with failure or challenges.
Hmm,
Tranquility when faced with turmoil, gratitude when faced with loss,
hmm,
and the last one is love for oneself um, when faced with imperfection.
hmm,
So just running through all of those and remembering, okay, if if you've done something that's imperfect or something's just not right, you just have to
yeah.
switch the coin and train your mind in these certain ways. I
Hmm,
find a few things that really help with that are daily practice, self-care, meditation. I do stretching, yoga. I think that's really important for people that just sit in one position and
Yeah.
long. I go to the pool, just moving the body in and meditating, eating well, drinking lots of water,
Mm.
and getting back into it and being like, okay, building yourself up. All right, you got this.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I like that. Yeah, I like that you mentioned those practices because I think it's important. Everyone I've been speaking to has some kind of thing that works for them, right? That helps them come into their center or raise their energy. And especially if you're a person who is, let's just say performing, right? For lack of a better word, performing a certain task or performing in your job, in your career. Um, yeah, I think all of that stuff's important to keep your energy fresh, right? Nice.
Water can
Here's
help
what
with.
comes up.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
definitely. Yeah. Now, I was gonna say, like, because you do long bouts of tattooing, right? Like, what's the longest you've ever done, and what's also the average that you'll do with someone, or does it range? Like, is it a big range?
Usually I charge per day. So
Mm,
my day rate includes generally I go about 5 to 7 hours of tattooing
okay.
in a day with a break
Yeah.
every hour. And
Mm,
generally getting the stencil on the tattoo, I will spend about 2 hours. Usually the client arrives at 10:30 and then we go
yeah.
and we also do the meditation and card reading in that 2 hours
Mm,
and discuss the design. So we'll
yeah.
go over it all. And then yesterday I had 4 different versions and he took 2 of them and he said, "Can we combine these two?" And I was like,
Mm,
"Yeah, that's a great idea." I was really enjoying these collaborations lately and just
mm,
working with people and saying, "Yeah, let's try to combine these two patterns. This will look great." And because of this collaboration and his idea and then just combining these, the tattoo turned out better than I could have imagined. So I've been really enjoying the
yeah.
collaboration process. And sometimes it does take 2 hours, even just to get the stencil on in the perfect spot. I'm really picky about that. So that's
Mm,
all part of it. And I also spend generally 2 days, well, sometimes one, depending on what it is, drawing for one person.
mm,
And so I put a lot into that. The actual tattooing, yeah, 5 to 7 hours. And I've also been holding retreats.
mm,
They're quite popular, and I'm really glad about that. I had this whole idea years ago that what I had or what I wanted to do was to build a dome. And here it is. This is a vision. I've
yeah.
like created this based on a vision and it's just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I would like to have a house that has a separate suite so people can come and stay here and get the whole experience. And so I've been doing this for a few months now and people are loving it. They stay here. There's a private sauna for the first night, not after you're tattooed,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
a private hot tub. So it's like a little retreat spa. There's a whole separate suite, the kitchen, bathroom, bed. You can bring your partner. Sometimes 7 hours a day, and
Mm,
then they get a good sleep because you're tired after that.
mm, mm, mm.
I do have some clients that sleep during the actual tattoo, which is
Right.
always
Yeah.
interesting. And then the next day we get up and we start again, do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
So that's about 15 hours of tattooing
Mm,
ish
mm.
in 2 days, but you can get big pieces done. I can go really fast and it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what I get from the way you're speaking about it is there's this energy, right? You're excited. You love it. You love what you do. You love what you've created. Um,
True.
tell us about that. Like this, I speak about life force a lot, right? Like there's this life force bursting out of you and it's inside you and it's coming through your arms and you're 15 hours, right? You're doing 15 hours. You're doing these long hours, but you love what you do. So tell us about that. Like this energy of doing what you love and what are you feeling in those moments when you're 7 hours, 8 hours?
Well, I feel like we both go on a journey and sometimes
Mm,
it can be really hard
mm,
but it's all part of it and you have to work with what you have and I love
yeah.
that. I love seeing how you can how people can change and especially over the 2 day retreats, how your body and your mind just kind of gives in to Raj, when things happen that um that you have no control over.
Mm.
Um, and how do you deal with that? How are you
Yeah.
how like recognize how is your mind state? How are you going to deal with this? Like if there's a natural disaster or something weird, I think it's a good way to train yourself
Mm.
to be able to just sit back and relax and allow this challenge to happen to you with a peaceful internalness where
Yeah.
you stay calm inside and all of this stuff is happening.
Mm.
I actually recommend clients have, I know I went tangent a little bit, but I'll get back to it.
It's
When
cool.
clients, I recommend clients to have a ice cold shower at the end of their hot shower. I
Oh,
still haven't
nice.
tried
Yeah.
it. It's just for like I'm up to like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I just started doing it again, but I used to do a minute. Yeah, so just kind of turn it to really cold and then just go into it and just breathe and force
Mm.
yourself to be in these uncomfortable situations, your body to just undergo this like shock a little bit, and then you get better at
Mm.
it. So yeah, so it's just about loving the process. And I could be any other art kind of artist, and I used to want to be a mural artist, but honestly, I'm so glad I found tattooing. And I knew I wouldn't fit into the heavy biker guy type
Mm.
environment. So I'm glad that I found this other sort of way of going about it. And since I've done this, a lot of other shops and have adopted this sort of more peaceful way of tattooing. But yeah, just the putting the love into it, put it and I love working with people. That's what it is. It's working with people and loving
Yeah.
the person. I tell people when I tattoo them, I actually like, I know it's weird, but I kind of love, like, I fall in love with the piece of skin that I'm tattooing, wherever it is.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
hello, you beautiful wrist, like, what are we going to do on you? Because skin,
Yeah.
it responds to you in different ways, depending on the energy that you put into it, the
Mm.
vibration you put into it. The tattoo will be easier or harder, depending on if my state of mind.
Wow. You're taking this tattoo stuff to a different level, from what I'm hearing, right? Maybe I haven't learned that much about this, but it seems like you know a lot about, you're talking about the skin reacts, the connection between the people, you've mentioned so many things that are mind-blowing. And
Thank you.
it's like the question that comes up for me is, um, you've mentioned like other people have seen how you're doing it now, but you were one of the pioneers in this way of doing it, right? This way of creating tattoos. And you mentioned earlier you had this vision. This thing you're doing now was a big vision. So where does that come from, firstly? Where does the vision come from as a process for you? And then how do you turn that into reality? And
Oh,
this, I think it'll be great for people to hear. Like so many people have ideas, right? Hundreds of ideas, but there's things or like other people or your own mind which might stop you from turning that amazing idea that you feel it is good into reality. Sometimes there's a block. So I'd love to hear um, your process.
well, this exact thing is the challenge. This is the challenge. And
Mm.
it's not easy. It's never easy, but really it's generally perseverance.
Yeah.
um Perseverance in setbacks, trust and doubt, courage and fear, all of those that I said
Hmm.
earlier.
Yeah.
Um and it's definitely, it's like a practice like anything else, and just pushing yourself forward
Hmm.
because it's not easy. So
Yeah.
how do you do it? The vision, how does it come? i I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm not being distracted. I'm really focusing. I'm not talking during the tattoo. I ask for silence during the actual tattoo
Yeah.
and really focusing. So, I mean, having the vision, I think it's just an intuitive, something intuitive. You just have to follow it.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
think that it's all just about harnessing that inner power that I can do this, like I can quit addictions. I can,
Yeah.
move forward with my dreams. I can, like not, for like change my emotions
Mm,
for so I don't have jealousy or anger, like just it just takes a lot of strength and
mm.
practice. Not really sure. Everybody's got their own way.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing and being so open and honest in that, right? Because I think it's important for people to know that, yeah, you're doing great things, but it wasn't a like straight, easy path of, oh yeah, I knew what I wanted to do. I just did it and it was all smiles along the way. And I think that's so important because everyone I've spoken to has said similar things to you. Like, yeah, there's challenges constantly sometimes. And it just comes up. And like you said, persevering and knowing that this is your mission or this is what you want to do despite all of that stuff around. And like, yeah, we've talked about this in the past, like there can be constant challenges from every
I
angle.
It's almost like a constant self-care, this whole
Mm-hmm.
life. Constantly just work on who you want to
Yeah.
be and who do you want to show up as.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Do you think that this is something that can be almost like trained in every human? Because it sounds like you mentioned throughout this talk, like perseverance, push myself to get there. And I find some people find that really challenging. You know, they want to do stuff, but then they can't get into this frame that you're talking about, which is like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna push myself. Do you think that's something that we can train ourselves in? And how do people like adopt that mentality? Well, how did you adopt the mentality actually? Maybe we can start with that, right? How did you adopt it? Was it something you always had, or did something occur which was like, hey, I'm just gonna keep going. I don't care what's coming in front of me.
I wish there was some just easy switch that I could just tell people, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you just like touch here, poke a little thing in your brain, and all of a sudden you can,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's I find that writing lists can help keep you on track. I'm a big
Okay.
fan of list writing.
Yeah.
Um, and just finding the right people in your life, and that can help and support you through things.
Mm,
Um, what do I do to persevere? How do I harness this like go mentality?
mm,
I mean, everything's a balance, you also need to take time for yourself and have those people in your life who can slow you down, and then you reset and you get back at it. So it's just all in balance and finding that line in the middle,
yeah.
walking it, and finding what you truly love,
Mm,
or not necessarily finding what you truly love, but finding something that you like and then just doing it and
mm,
making it into something that you love. Because when I first thought about tattooing, I mean, I like drawing. I wasn't always drawing all the time when I was a teacher, but I mean, I wasn't into it. I wasn't excited about it. I thought, oh, I couldn't put people through good, challenging situations. I want to work with people that are happy. But then I just started, oh, heck, why not? Let's just do it. Let's just see. Let's just turn myself into this. Let's just see what
mm,
happens. You only have one life. So I think I'm
yeah.
just really lucky I found tattooing. I really am. And it could have been the same with murals, with painting murals. I
Mm,
could have poured my soul into it, and that could have been the thing. But I think everybody in the world is so different, and some people maybe aren't meant to be someone that perseveres all the time
mm,
and achieves a goal and achieves a dream. I think it's a quality that some people just have, and honestly, I don't think it's like I'm not doing any better than someone else who works at a coffee shop and just loves their
mm,
work, or
mm.
like that's good for them. I don't think there's sort of a list of ingredients. So this is what you're gonna do to be someone that perseveres. It's just who
Yeah.
you are. Either you have it. I mean, can you get better at it if you really want to? The mind is a
Mm,
powerful tool, but you
yeah.
don't have to. If you're
Mm,
if you're
mm,
content, playing video games all day long, which
mm,
you know is I have lots of friends that do that, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah,
They're so happy. They don't need to, you know, create something amazing in the world. Maybe in the next lifetime they will, but
yeah,
as
yeah,
long as
yeah.
they're content.
Yeah, I love that. What do you think it is contentment? Or actually, let's roll that back a little bit and let's go a bit deeper and say, what do you think everyone is looking for deep down inside?
Oh goodness. Maybe maybe peace, maybe
Mm,
a sense of peace and calmness and silence.
mm,
But
yeah,
everyone's I can't say what everyone's looking for.
yeah,
I honestly.
yeah, yeah. Peace, calm, and silence. Yeah, because like even for me anyway, like even amongst all the action, amongst all the stuff I'm doing or creating, I require, just like you said, right, that balance. I require that balancing out of it, of even in the moment, right? Let's say I'm speaking right now. There's these pauses that I'm allowing for. I'm allowing myself to stop. I'm allowing the almost like swimming, right? You have a recovery stroke that comes with the stroke, right? You can't swim without a recovery stroke. And then we can magnify that to a bigger scale. Like, okay, I'm gonna tattoo for 8 hours, or I'm gonna speak for 8 hours or whatever. That requires something else to allow for the 8 hours to occur. I need a balancing of that somehow. I need a recuperation. And I think from my experience, getting those two working together and in like a harmony as one, that's what allows everything to work best, And I mean that for me feels like peace. For me, it feels like peace when I'm able to be in action as well as not be in action. And for that to be one, just one whole thing.
I'm curious to listen
Anyway.
to this back and see how fast am I was I actually talking throughout this whole thing. I mean, I'm not trying to judge myself. I'm just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
curious, like, do I give enough space between words? Is there a way I can
Mm,
fine tune? I've always thought of myself as somebody that communicates better visually than verbally.
mm, mm.
Curious. I wonder how I did. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah. I think you're a great person, as an example, and we're gonna wrap up soon, by the way, but I think you're a great person as an example of tapping into this fire inside, right? That's what I've gotten from this, and that's what I've heard from you in the past as well. Like being able to know that there's this fire inside, this thing that wants to be expressed, right? And I guess you're doing that through your hands. You're expressing this fire's coming out. It's coming through your vision, your what you're seeing, and it's coming out, and you're doing it. You're putting tattoos on people that don't even know what they're getting. Like that's huge. That's huge. That's what I got from this whole talk with you, that you're able to tap into this thing. And I think everyone can tap into that to some levels. It's gonna help them, everyone that's listening, whatever version that is for everyone, right? Like you said, just looking for that contentment or that expression of ourselves, that energy that wants to come out. And that's what I got from this whole episode is, okay, there's this thing inside. Am I gonna listen to it and am I gonna let it speak, or am I gonna let it move, or am I gonna let it say this thing or do this thing? Because if I am, that means I'm expressing my energy out freely, right? It's wanting to come out. And I also got from you this wisdom of doing what you want to do in life. You've had to overcome adversity and hearing people saying, yeah, this is not how you do things. But you had this vision and you went for it regardless, did it, and you're still doing it. So
yeah.
that's what I got from today's episode. Is there anything else that comes up as a reflection as I say that to you?
No, I think that's about it. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for being here. And there's so many metaphors in, like the biggest one for me was trusting, trusting, like with the whole trust tattoo thing. You're trusting this ability you have. And I think if people can apply that into every area, like, okay, I'm trusting that I'm saying this thing, I'm doing this thing that is in alignment with myself. That's huge. So thanks for sharing that. I think that's a big insight for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people that wanted a trust tattoo are people that have trust issues and they're
Mm,
trying to overcome them. So
wow.
that's interesting.
Wow. See that there's another insight there. Is like sometimes the things that we're going for, that we're uncomfortable with, are the things we need to grow. That's a great
Yes.
example of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the tattoo sensation, right?
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
sometimes it can really help. Maybe not that
Mm,
you need it, but it can be a form of healing.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that's sort of what I was hoping. That's what I want to spread in the world is the fact that you don't like it. You can get a tattoo and it can be in a calm, peaceful way. It can be
Mm,
with intention. It can be with healing, and it can be with love. You can have an
yeah,
amazing experience. It can be transformational.
I love that. Wow. Okay, cool. I think we're going to end the episode there. I got one last question for you.
Okay.
If you hear the word life force, what does life force mean to you? How do you, and just for you, like, what does it mean to you?
I think it's about vibration, like everything has its own sort of vibration, you know? So just being like almost dancing with it, dancing with
Mm,
different vibrations of the things around you and tapping in and being yourself, being you. I mean, who else are you going to be? But
yeah,
there's
exactly.
certain places you can go and people you can be around who bring out best qualities in you and go there, you know,
Mm,
go to those seek the things that will make you feel like more alive and more yourself. People that you can be around that where you can feel like who you are is shining through.
mm. Wow. Shining through. I love that. Like I feel that as you say it. Who you are is shining through. Wow. Cool. I'm gonna leave it as that. I want everyone to take that as a almost as an assignment from the end of this. Think of things where who you are is shining through. Like, what does that feel like for you? Who you are is shining through. How does it feel? What are examples of that? What are the things that give you that? If you make that list, I think you'll get a lot of insight from it.
Make a
So thanks
list.
for being on this show. And is there anything you want to share with people? Of course, anyone that wants a tattoo, definitely go and send Katia a message or go to the website, and go over there and have one of these experiences because it sounds awesome.